All right, section 5.6 says proving triangles congruence by angle side angle and angle side. So if two angles in the included side of one triangle are congruent to two angles in the included side of a second triangle, then the two triangles are congruent. So remember, when we're talking about included, that means that it's in between. So included means it's between them. So if you look on this one here, it is in between the two angles, so it is included, and the same one on here. Since it's in between the two angles, it is included. So what that says then, ladies and gentlemen, so if we look at it, if angle A is congruent to angle D, if AC, the line segment, is congruent, now look how I went. I went from the one marked 1 to the one marked 2, so I'll have to do the same thing. So that would be line segment DF, and then angle C is congruent to angle F. Then we can state that triangle, and if I start at A, C, B, I can't remember, you can start anywhere, just make sure that it keeps the same orientation, the same corresponding. So if I say triangle ACB, I went through the one marked 1, this side, the one marked 2. So for it to be congruent, you'll have to do the same thing. So to go from the one marked 1 through the side to the other one. So it went this way. So it is congruent to triangle DFE, right? If two angles on the non-included side, so on this one here, they gave us this non-included side, but again, think we could have also had this one here as a non-included side, all right? So if two angles in a non-included side of one triangle are congruent to two angles in the non-included side of a second triangle, then the triangles are congruent. So on this one here, let's see if they say if, all right, let's go ahead and start it again. If angle A is congruent to angle D, angle C is congruent to angle F, and if I say line segment CB, look at how I went. I went from the one marked 2 to the one that isn't marked. So you have to follow the same orientation. Is congruent to line segment FE. Then, again, it doesn't matter which way we go. Just remember our orientation has to be the same. So on this one here, let's just go this way for something different. So if I say triangle CAB, you can tell me it's congruent to triangle. Well, look at how I went. I went through the one marked 2 to the one marked 1, and then to the last side. And somebody asked, yes, it does have to be capital letters, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, because that's what they have here. So in this case here, it would be congruent to F, D, E. Okay, so now let's look at a couple of quick examples. Again, since we're not doing proofs, these should go pretty quickly for you. So on this one here, example 1, can the triangles be proven congruent with the information given in the diagram? If so, state what theorem you would use. Now remember, this time they're kind of wanting you to go with what they just told us. So what they just told us is we have either angle, angle side, or angle side angle. So those are the ones that we're going to kind of look for here. So follow the orientation that they said. So they said triangle on the first one on A, they said EFG. So if I go EFG, look at what I have. I went to the right angle and I went to this side. Now remember, this angle here and this angle here, those are what kind of angles again? They're vertical angles. And you know that vertical angles are congruent. So that's why I can mark them both with just one arc there. So look at how I went. I went right angle, the one marked side, while the other angle doesn't have one, and then I have the other one. So I'm going to go the same way. Angle, if I start at HDG, so I start at the right angle, I go through the one that's not marked, and then I go through that side. So it does follow. So on this one here, it's yes. And look at what I have there, people. Again, I have this angle, all right? This one's here is not marked, so I can't use that one. I have this angle here, and then I have the non-included side. So if we look at it, we have it's yes, and it's by angle, side. We're going to kind of look at all of these that we've done here, all right? So it'll be nice to know that we've come up with 5 of these so far, okay? So let's see here. Let's see for B. Let's use a different color. Let's go ahead and use, this green here. So remember this here, if we look at the big triangle, that makes it an isosceles triangle. And remember, if it's an isosceles triangle, you know that the base angles are congruent. All right. So now we also know one other thing. All right. So let's see here. I should tell you base angles of isosceles triangle are congruent. Okay. And then let's see what else do they have here for us. Well, remember here I told you that QM is equal to or congruent to QM. Remember, I told you that's called the reflexive property. We use it quite a bit. All right. So if that's the case, then we know that this side here is equal to itself. Okay. So now I'm going to go and follow their path. So they want triangle PQM. So let me see what I'm going to go a different color so I can show you the path. So PQM, we're going that way. And then they want us to go RQM. Okay. Now look at what we have there. All right. Look at what we have marked. We have a side we have another side, and we have a non-concluded angle. So if I follow this one right here, I would have side-side angle. Now remember, I told you yesterday that does not work. The only way it would work is if we knew that this one right here was a right angle. And they didn't tell us it was. And so we can't assume that it is, ladies and gentlemen. So we would say the only thing we know is it's side-side angle. And as you know, we can't say that it is the triangles are congruent. We can't say that. Okay. All right, and this last one here, okay, same kind of thing. Let's see here. Why don't I go? Let's go. So again, we know that this side is equal to itself. All right. So if we look here, we have LMP, and then we have NMP, and look at what we have marked. We have an angle, this angle here, we have a side, and then we have this angle here on both of them. So we can say in this case it's yes. And again, on this one here, it's angle, side angle. All right, now on the last one, on example 2, and these are kind of like some of your homework problems. So on this one here, it says, decide whether you can use the given information to prove that triangle LMN is congruent to triangle PQR, and explain your reasoning. So I would always tell you, if you don't have one, draw a triangle, exactly what they said. So on here, and since we're going to use the same one for both of them, just draw a triangle. It doesn't have to be perfect, and it doesn't have to look congruent. You know that they're supposed to be if it works out. But this here, we have L, M, N. And on this one here, we have P, Q, R. Now again, notice how I went in the same order they told me. So L, M, N, all right, and then PQR. So I just followed the same orientation. So on the first one here, they're saying, do we have enough? Well, let's see here. M is congruent to angle Q. Okay, that would work. And N is congruent to angle R. And they're corresponding too. They're in the same place. And then they're telling us NL, which is that one right there, is congruent to RP. So do we have enough there? And is it in order? Okay. So on this one here for A, you would tell me yes. And again, if we look at it, what do I have marked? I have an angle, I have an angle, and I have a non-included side. Okay. So that's for the first one. On the second one here, okay, let's just go ahead and start with what they have. Well, we can see that M and Q from the first one worked, but they're saying L is congruent to R. So they're telling me this one here, and let's see, I marked it with 3 because I already have one marked with 1 and 2. Well, the only one that can correspond to is this one right here. Okay. So on this one here, it has to be no, because according to the orientation they have, we can say that angle L and angle R do not correspond. Okay, now you'll have to do a couple of these on your homework, and I know that, it's drag and drop or you have to write it in. Remember, if it helps, draw a triangle if helpful. and keep all the corresponding parts together. Okay. Thank you.